Hello, welcome to my other show, Muse. My name is Susan Rushton, and this is the one where I get to talk to people who are visited by the Muse, who are creative, in other words, who work with their lives creatively. There we go. That's pretty creative, isn't it? Okay, my name's Susan Rushton, and my guest today is Marjorie Hartung, who is General Manager of the Placer County... Artistic Director of the Placer County Youth Orchestra. If you want to learn more about it, please log on to PCYO, Placer County Youth Orchestra, PCYO.org. Drop Margie an email, mhartung, MHARTUNG @PCYO.org, or phone her at 916-624-7610. So, Margie, what is the Placer County Youth Orchestra?
Well, the Placer County Youth Orchestra is a approximately 50 to 60 member advanced orchestra that started in I'm going way back, in 2009
Okay.
in the Placer County area. We have grown now. We have an intermediate group as well, and we have a basic string orchestra as well. So
Define a basic string orchestra.
Well, the basic string orchestra are kids coming in to begin to learn the art of playing in an orchestra.
Okay.
So there's some instruction with the stringed instrument themselves, but also just learning to play as a group. And then the advanced group are not quite ready for the advanced symphonic, so it's sort of a feeder orchestra. And then the advanced symphony is our more advanced instrumentalist. It's a full symphonic orchestra. And so that's...
So how many children and young adults are involved?
And I've never counted it. Probably...
That many?
A lot. Yeah, a lot.
A lot. And they draw from all over Placer County, or at least the western slope.
Yeah, we have students from Lincoln. A lot of kids come from Rockland. A lot of kids from Granite Bay, Roseville. We have some kids who come from all the way from El Dorado County.
Okay.
And it's not. And then we have several from Auburn also.
Good. Okay. Why do they do this?
Why do the kids come?
Yes.
Well, I think I could draw back to my own experience. There's nothing quite like being in an orchestra. Violinists and string players in particular are sort of flock instruments. Unlike a piano.
Are sort of what is
flock instrument.
Flock.
Unlike a piano where you have the orchestra at your fingertips, it's a single instrument, and when you get them all together, it creates a community.
Okay.
And so then when we add the woodwinds and the horns,
flock
instrument, then we have this great thing that we all share.
This creature that you're okay. How long have you been involved with the Placer County Youth Orchestra?
We started in 2009.
Okay.
What had happened is I was teaching classes. The Granite Bay School District, not school district, but the parents had decided that they wanted a string program over there, but they didn't have one. So I began a program over there in the Eureka School District, and that was growing one school at a time, and then I was working with the charter schools also. And pretty soon that grew. So it's kind of a grassroots thing. And then it was just kind of like, wow, I would pull them together and we would have this sort of Frankensteinian orchestra, you know, of all the different groups together, until we just realized, well, let's just start an orchestra. And that's how it started.
Okay.
And
yeah. Okay. So we have. You say you've been doing this, and they came to you, and you went to them, and so forth. Who are you? Who are you? You clearly know about music.
That's a good question.
How long have you been? What do you play, for instance?
I grew up from the time I was 7. I took violin. In the LA school district, you got given an instrument. I wanted flute, but I had buck teeth. And
Bummer.
so they said that I couldn't play flute, so I was given a violin, which I was not happy about. But then it wound up being good for me. It was a good instrument. And then I was raised in an area where I just had the best music instruction.
In Southern California.
In Southern California,
Okay.
Los Angeles. And then I joined the Los Angeles Junior Philharmonic, which was where the same thing, I just grew this great love of music, and then majored in music in college, and have been
tried the
involved
flute again, but didn't.
Never did try the flute, but I do play the stringed instruments.
Okay.
And piano.
All right. Now, you are. She has another mask. She has another face, another identity. She plays in the Auburn Symphony, and you are first violinist, second violinist.
Hanging on. First violin.
Okay. What do you mean? What does that mean?
It's a hard part, and I have to really work to do it. We had gotten involved. We met Michael Goodwin. He had called many years before and asked. They needed some violinists, but at the time, my job and everything, I was unable to do it. When we contacted him,
He called whom?
me to see if I would like to be in the orchestra.
How did he know about you?
Well, I got recommended by another friend of
Oh,
mine.
it's
who
who
was in
you
the
know,
orchestra.
isn't it? Yeah.
Well, she's a good. She couldn't continue, and so I guess they were looking for more violinists. But at the time, it was literally impossible. When the orchestra started, we decided we wanted to have.
When you say orchestra, you mean
our orchestra.
Placer County Youth Orchestra.
Yeah.
Okay.
We decided we wanted to have a sort of a parent orchestra, not that we were strong-arm tied with it, but just a kind of a nice loose relationship. Mm-hmm. And so Michael Goodwin, we've cultivated a relationship, and unfortunately the very first night that we came to orchestra, he was there. The second night we came, he didn't show up, and that was the night that he was in the car accident.
Yeah.
And so we were really sad. He was a wonderful conductor, but I will have to say that Peter Jaffe is every week that I go, I learn more conducting lessons.
Okay.
As the conductor of our orchestra, I love to see the way he does things. He is so
out there.
well, yeah, but he is also he knows how to say things to the orchestra where they get the message, but it's not unkind. And he has diplomacy with the musicians, and I really.
And
like
that's
that.
a good thing to learn oneself. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And that's not always the case with conductors. And so the Auburn Symphony, Auburn is lucky to have the Auburn Symphony.
Yes.
It really is.
Yes. 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 AuburnSymphony.com. AuburnSymphony.com. And we are talking on September 4th, 5th. This is September 5th, 2017. And every year the symphony does a free concert in the school park preserve beneath the City Hall, and the Placer County Youth Orchestra introduces that event. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
This is, I think, our 5th year.
5th year of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So you get, how many performers do you have coming on Saturday?
This is always our hard performance because the kids from last year have graduated and moved on, some of our best players. And so it's all the old kids from last year and none of the new ones. So it's always a little smaller, but it always turns out good. And what we do is we take a few pieces that we played last year. Mm-hmm. We don't try to do something new. So this is considered our last concert of the previous season. And then on the 20th, we'll begin our new season.
20th of September, 2017.
Right. And that, our first concert is going to be all Broadway. Because one of the fun things that we've started up with the...
I've seen that on your website, and which really intrigues me. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, go
We
ahead.
had the opportunity, you talk about connections. Cherie Friedman is the director and helps with the musicals at Del Oro. And she was out looking for rabbits one day, and she...
Literally looking for rabbits?
to buy some rabbits.
Oh, okay.
Loomis. And one of people who knew us, and she mentioned that she was looking for musicians to help with their thing. And so one thing led to another. And now we have been doing musicals, and so my most advanced students, our very, very best, we create a pit orchestra at least once a year. This time it was twice. We wound up doing Beauty and the Beast and Miss Saigon at Del Oro this summer.
Yes.
And so that's an amazing opportunity for the students in PCYO, because playing in a musical is pretty high level, and it just gives them so much experience. But not only experience, it's just community creating. It's just a great opportunity.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the top level of what we do.
Yes. So you said you early on at 7 you wanted to play flute, but couldn't, and now they wouldn't let you. Your teeth wouldn't let you. Those big buck teeth that have since disappeared. But why were you involved in music at all?
Well, that's an interesting thing. They had it in the schools, and they sort of selected if you were doing well academically, and the teacher would select you out of her class to have this extra thing. I even remember the name of my orchestra director. His name was Mr. Berman. And I remember being the littlest and the shortest in the very back of the orchestra, and walking every week to violin lessons. But it was in the school, and they provided the instrument and everything.
Yes.
And
but why did you start? Why have you continued?
Well, early on, I liked doing it, but I didn't. I just did it because I was a compliant child. And I remember going from week to week to my violin lessons, and my mom yelling at me, "I'm not going to give you violin lessons if you don't practice." And so early on, it was kind of, but then I did love it. And then as, I think, staying with it, I try to get parents to realize that sometimes early on, children do things to do them, and then eventually it does become a passion of theirs. Eventually, they begin to love it.
See the results, what they're boring.
Right.
That leads to something.
Exactly, and being in the Junior Philharmonic was really a lot of the turning point. Dr. Katz, the whole orchestra was funded by movie stars. And so Jack Benny came one time, Mae West came one time, Weird Al Yankovic later came, and the people from Petticoat Junction. Movie stars would come, and they would support the orchestra and come to our concerts. And we didn't have to pay anything to be in the orchestra because it was completely funded by, and it was, the music we played was just great. My first concert that we did with the PCYO, I literally used music that I had learned when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. We have to do that one. We have to do the Andalucia Suite. We have to do the Dance of the Rose Maidens. We have to do, what were some of the Fugue in G minor by Bach. Those were pieces that I remembered year after year after year, even way, way back. And so that was really a huge mentorship. And then when we moved up here, I was in the Sacramento Youth Symphony and the Camellia Orchestra and several orchestras, and then went to college and traveled with the orchestra and choir. And so that just sort of became my life.
This is what you do.
That's what I did. And then I stopped doing all that for a while and raised children. But even then, I was writing music for our little church groups and things like that. I would write the music for the instrumentalists, and I was heavily involved in doing it in a less public way.
Yeah, yeah.
And then in 1996 is when I started. We moved up to Rockland, and somebody was. It was in McLaughlin Studios, a great studio.
We need a violinist.
Yeah, well, what happened is my friend went into McLaughlin Studios, and they were looking for violinists. So she gave my number, and I didn't even know they existed. They are a great music studio. And
say it again.
McLaughlin Studios.
McLaughlin Studios in Loomis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I worked there for quite a while. My mother got quite. She was aging, and so I needed to stay home with her. But then I just started teaching from my home. Okay. So I teach from my home and do the orchestra.
You conduct the Placer County Youth Orchestra.
And teach classes and that sort of thing now.
So we've talked about your musical life, but why do you think music is important?
We were just talking about that the other day. One of my students, Navia, she is in the pit orchestra, and school had just started, and she's a very high achiever. She takes all the advanced placement courses, huge pressure in her life. And she came to me and she goes, "Oh, I just love coming on these days that we're doing the pit orchestra because it's just like
I'm home.
I can just relax and just enjoy the music, and then I'm ready to go back and put myself into the day again." And I was talking to my son Ben, and I said, "You know what? It's like gasoline in a car. These artistic endeavors that we do, and they're not all the same. For some kids it's sports, and for some kids it's being in a musical and singing. For us, it's playing our instruments." And it's sort of like all these kids have so many pressures to succeed and do well. And so to be able to do something that is artistic gives them the gasoline to go on and drive their car the rest of the week and the rest of the time.
Yeah. But okay, what about me as a recipient of music? Why is music good for me? It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. This is for the people start to play music for themselves. Yeah.
But we like to share.
Yes.
I will
clearly.
say this: when I feel like I'm performing, I freeze up. I don't perform well. But when I'm sharing, when I say, "Oh, listen to this piece. Listen to this. Oh, I just want you to hear this.
Fabulous.
Isn't this gorgeous?"
Look
and
what
it
he
becomes
does
about
here.
when it becomes about the piece, then I'm relaxed, and that's why, in a way, I'm good with the orchestra because it ceases to be about me. Now it's about sharing. It's about the kids sharing with their families. It's about us sharing with the audience, and I can step back. My son co-conducts with me, and when he's conducting, I'll go play viola because we always need extra violists. We always need violists, and we could use a few cellists, and we need a French horn and a bassoon. So just call us if you play those instruments. Of course, we always welcome all the instruments. The PCYO is an audition-only orchestra.
As opposed to what?
Well, like in a regular school setting, if you sign up for the class, you're in the class.
Okay, but you can't automatically join Placer County Youth Orchestra.
No, you have to audition, and this decides which orchestra. We're not going to kick anybody out. We're going to say, "Well, you have no talent, go away." It's
Good.
more to assign them to the orchestra that they are they a basic beginner? Are they, well, there's no basic beginners in the orchestra, but a basic intermediate, or are they a higher level intermediate, or are they ready for the advanced symphonic orchestra? That tells, and we actually are still taking auditions. The last day to do an audition is September 14th.
September 14th, 2017. I say that because sometimes the ACTV puts things on like might appear
After.
next year.
Okay. Well, next year we'll need them too.
Yeah. Okay.
But usually the premium instruments, the ones that we always have a hard time getting, are French horn players. French horn are hard. We have a couple of fine oboe players right now. We have a wonderful flute section. We don't have a bassoon player. We could use a bassoon. We always need cellists. We always need violists. And we have a fine violin section, but we never turn away violinists. We never turn any orchestra player that would be good. But some are harder to find than others.
All right.
And I find myself being a collector. What do you play?
Okay. So if a parent thinks their child could be good in this situation, in this orchestra, or if a child or young adult is interested in the Placer County Youth Orchestra, what does that entail?
They would call me. There are some applications online, I believe. I'm not in charge of that part. But I can send in applications. They have to fill out an application, and then they have to make an appointment for an audition. And what they would come in, and they would...
And where are you based?
In Rockland.
Rockland, okay.
If they're a brand new student, it's different. They have to choose a piece that they can play well, or a part of two pieces. One would be something fast that shows their technical skill, and the other would be something slow that shows their artistry. And then they have to play a major 2 or 3 octave scale and a minor 2 or 3 octave scale, melodic or harmonic, but they need to let us know which one they're playing.
So they have to say,
know. So they have to say, I'm going to play a 2 octave harmonic D minor scale, or I'm going to play a 2 octave melodic D minor scale, so that because we need to know, because the minor scales are tricky. And then we might have them sight read something at that audition. That will determine which orchestra. The students that are already in orchestra, they get sent a piece of music that they are required to play.
Okay.
And that will be for their seating. So we'll be recording those, and then we sit down as a little panel. We have about 5 people. And we don't know who we're listening to at that time.
This is okay.
Yes, so
Does it cost
yes,
to belong to the orchestra?
Yes. Basically, to cover our fees, it's for the Advanced Symphonic Orchestra, it's $375, which would be $125 per trimester, or $350 early if you pay it all ahead.
So $375 a year? Okay.
For the whole year. And then the other orchestras are a little less expensive. I think it's $330 or something like that. But that is a very good rate for a youth orchestra. We do everything we can to keep our costs down.
Yeah. Okay. So, do you have any? And I haven't let you know that I would ask you this, but do you have any? Blossoming stories, as far as these musicians are concerned, or have they already blossomed by the time they reach you?
Let me think. Well, it's just amazing to watch all of them become better musicians. I have one girl who just graduated this year, and
she's gone.
She's gone.
Oh.
She started out in 3rd grade in the little orchestra programs, and then she continued with regular violin lessons and those sort of things. And she became our concertmaster. She actually joined the Auburn Symphony and played in the Auburn Symphony. And she's just an amazing violinist. And one of the nice things is that PCYO is like a family, and so we see them as a nurturing thing all the way through. And we have lots of kids that have started early on and have come through. I think there's a ton of success stories, a ton of, that.
Yes.
I was just watching kids develop and become amazing musicians.
Yes. Do you have any arguments with them?
Yeah.
Yeah? I don't want to play it this way, I want to play it this way.
I've had that. I tend to be easygoing. And so I've had times when, with co-conductors or where we disagree on how to interpret it. And this is how we came up with the solution. If you're conducting the piece, no one gets to argue with you. You're the boss.
Okay.
So if my son, or we've had other co-conductors that have worked with us, if they say, I want this piece to go this way. It is my job to be quiet and let them.
Your job.
Yeah.
Okay. If somebody else.
Conversely, if I'm the one that's directing and running, oh, I almost did it. If it's my turn to conduct, then we let in other words, there's a hierarchy. The conductor is right.
The conductor's boss.
The conductor is boss. And the bottom line is that we do disagree on how. There have been many times when I thought one of the others was taking something too fast, or I didn't like the way they were doing it, and they pretty much decided to do it their own way. And
the conductor decided.
Yeah, and there have been other times when I just loved. It was so much better than what I thought. It was just amazing the way that they did it. It was really good.
Wow.
But sometimes we'll talk after, and I'll say, I don't think you should take it that fast, and or whatever.
Okay.
And then the students are usually they're not. They don't argue. They're
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So it costs per year about $375.
approximately. The brass is less than percussion because they only come every other week.
Okay. So for some of them it's every other week. That was my next question. So for some it's every other week.
Right.
But for most it's every week.
Early on, we used to have brass, and they would. In orchestral music, very often what happens is the strings do a lot of stuff, and then the brass play at the end. Well, they would wind up sitting through large amounts of our time and wasting their time. So we brainstormed and we thought, okay, we're not going to do that. We're not going to waste the time of these musicians. So what we do is we have rehearsals every week for the string and woodwind, who are almost always playing. And then the percussion and the brass come every other week, and then we lean into what they're doing on the weeks that we have them.
Okay. So it costs, and people, there's a time commitment, depending, and it varies depending on what instrument you play.
Mostly every week. The woodwind, the PCYO meets Wednesdays from 4:30 to 6:45. And the intermediate group meets Tuesdays from 4:30 to 6, and then the other group meets before that.
Is that information on the website?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have to go look on the website.
But if
you can tell I'm the organized guy.
If a person or a parent or a potential performer wants to find out, they should, at least they can do is to go on to pcyo.org. Or send you an email, mhartung@pcyo.org, or give you a call, 916-624-7610. I admire what you do. You are in charge of Placer County Youth Orchestra, and you are involved in the Auburn Symphony, auburnsymphony.com. I value your work and the time it takes and your involvement in the community. Margie, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, you're welcome, and thank you again. And I will see you later. Thanks for watching.